All right, this is Kast number 11, August 17th, 3050. The game stops here, power to the players. Today we've got Laser Angel.
Hey everyone, it's Laser Angel once again speaking.
Kalis.
This is Kalis.
Visaggio Rain.
As always.
Darjeeling.
Yo, what's up?
Raccoon.
Yep.
And Valkyrie.
Hey, where the fuck is my line? God damn it.
Okay, so today we basically just have the Ask the Developers for Kalis, and we've been wanting to get this out of the way. Kalis has had his ass tied to this for a while, so I'm just going to hand it to him. Here you go, Kalis.
All right.
Nice plug.
Well, yeah, awesome. All right, now we're looking at the ATD, the Ask the Developers number 44. And there's they have a new format where you can only ask 15 questions that are voted upon. Well, they have more questions, but only 15 are voted upon. And then the developers choose 5 from amongst those. So the first question is from this gentleman named Shadow VFX. And he says, some users on the forum are suggesting giving more elaborate quirks to each mech or variant rather than just tweaking its movement ranges. Have you considered adding any quirks similar to these? And he gives some options and examples. And of course, David Bradley, the designer, he answers with, this is something that I would definitely like to see. The current quirks are all movement related because when we decided to first implement quirks, those were the variables that could easily be tuned. Since then, we've been working on many other features and improvements that we haven't had time to properly go back and readdress the quirk system. Unfortunately, there's no timetable for this at the moment, though it probably won't appear until after launch. So you've heard it from them, give up. It's not going to happen. Except the mediums are getting the quicker torso twist.
Which
that's all we know.
It's not much. Hey, Vass, weren't we supposed to get like some quirks to the awesome so that way it'd be usable?
Well,
whatever happened to that?
Technically, they made all the engines bigger and they added some arm speed, I think. I don't remember. It's a long time ago.
That's not enough.
They used to have 260s and 280s. Now they all have 300 at the very least. So...
All right, go ahead, Rickum.
Yeah, what Apollo said would be a decent perk, just like upping the armor for, like the awesome, just on a chassis by chassis basis. For instance, it is kind of arbitrary that you can only have so many. It's not that bad.
But what about my tabletop?
Yeah, the tabletop. But aside from that, my point is that if it's not going to happen until after launch, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Because after release, everyone's probably going to flood ship, or abandon ship, rather.
Right.
Valk, you had something to say?
Yeah, I wanted to comment on Paul's little mediums buff. As a person who really enjoys using mediums, I'm very glad that Paul is going to give me the opportunity to look in the direction of my impending death 10% quicker. Thanks, Paul.
Hey, it might be 15%.
Yeah, it might be 15. Why don't they just, get rid of the engine cap that they had on mediums? Something, anything, because they just go too slow. Fast.
As we all know. Oh, go ahead.
The engine caps are technical. It's not that easy. I'll give them that. That's a problem.
There really should be a base speed buff, really. I mean,
well, if you give the engine buff to a medium too high, then it kind of invalidates the lights. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true.
Wouldn't want to make lights irrelevant or anything.
Bass?
The basic speed in Battletech is basically 75k. Alright, note this. In MechWarrior, an Atlas will move that fast. In regular Battletech, no. This game, you're slow if you don't move 80. This is very different to regular Battletech, and they're still basing everything on the engines and shit from that.
Well, I think part of it recently had to do with the movement nerf. It's so much harder to get around. You literally have to walk around these large objects in the map. Everything from walking around the dropship, or you just can't go over hills or touch anything. You even bump your buddy and you're screwed up. You go down to 0.
Well, that's that vaunted movement.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. There is an interesting question here, and I actually wanted you guys to answer it, those who actually want to. First of all, the question is from Max Blue. What does PGI consider to be the top 3 problems with the game right now? Now start thinking about this, rest of the Concast. We all have our own opinions, but I'm curious what PGI considers to be the biggest problems the game has currently. And Paul answers this. His 3 answers are hit detection. It is imperative that this improves for launch. Not only does it affect how the game plays right now, but it also creates issues with weapon balancing. New user experience.
Yeah.
An upcoming tutorial is about to hit our testing builds, and we will be pushing this out as soon as possible. Game balance. There's still a number of mechs and weapons that need to be looked at prior to launch. Those are Paul's, in his opinion, PGI's 3 biggest problems. Does anybody else have any 3 that they want to bring up?
I agree to him to some degree. In a
I
way,
agree to all degrees. But...
like, I agree to the hit detection because you can't even have game balance if your fucking weapons don't work.
It is the most important one by far.
But I feel the balance should be even higher than the user experience because unless there's balance, you can't quite tell even what the fuck's going on. That user experience is completely useless. Who we got here? Valkyrie?
I think what really needs to be above all of this right now, and incidentally, it's Paul's fault that it's broken, is the current CBill depression, so to speak.
Yes.
I mean, really, there's just no reason for you to even play the game right now. Fucking Kevin bots are coming back, for Christ's sake. It's that bad.
Oh, God, yeah, I did see some.
It's really bad. Like, to the point where I was even thinking to myself, well, I don't really want to play anything else right now. I kind of want to try the blackjack, but at the same time, I look at my game, and I've got 6 million CBills in the bank, and I'm like... It would take me probably 2 or 3 weeks to grind out another blackjack if I decided to start grinding them out right now just because of how little I play at the moment. And even if I bought premium time, all it would mean is that it would take me the same amount of time that it used to take me to do blackjacks, which is about a week. So premium time has not only been reduced in its perceived value, but the overall game has just become this insurmountable grind to a lot of people, and that's just going to kill it, like, instantly.
Absolutely. Darjeeling, you had something to say?
Oh, well, can I say the 3 biggest problems are PGI, PGI, and PGI, or does that not count?
That's kind of a, that's a cowardly
yeah,
way out.
I'm joking. I think some of the biggest problems are the fact that the community is very unhappy right now, what's left of them, and I'd say that the lack of transparency is probably one of the biggest problems with this game in general for me, because we never really know what's going on.
Well, that's not a problem from their point of view, because they don't have to tell us anything. Connor, you had something to say?
Yeah, I think we're a little too late for the transparency, but to be honest, I agree with his 3 points, but I also think he's missing some things. Like, for example, I think there's chassis issues. A lot of these chassis are completely useless. I guess you could chalk it up into game balance.
Yeah, you could totally throw that in the game balance.
There's also economy, like someone else brought up, but it's not just that. Whenever you want to pull people into your game, you generally don't increase the grind or punish them, because when you do that, you actually push players away. And this game has been hemorrhaging players for a long time. So what they've done is they've pushed people even farther. You would have thought they would have added at least a 30k increase to our base income a while back, but we had not even gotten that. Then there's the fact that mechs are like $40, you know? And then clans are going to hit soon.
Wasago, go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult even for people like me who have everything ground out now to get into the game. I've barely played it since the patch. There's just no reason to go into it right now, and it's painful. You can't find anyone to play with either.
What? Are you saying that 12-mans are having higher than a 25 to 30% failure rate?
No, 12-mans, that's... I can't even joke about. That's a fucking fail.
Connor, go ahead.
Sorry.
Alright, someone was asking, clans are going to be soon. Well, I don't mean that. What I mean is when clans do come down the line, what is an Atlas? Alright, an Assault is about 10 million, right? And an MC, that's like, what, $50? Something like that? With a clan mech on MC... I think it's like, what is it for a Daishi? 40 million?
30.
Daishi's at least 22
30
million.
million.
Yeah, 35 million. Wow. That's 3 times. That's a $120 mech.
If they're going to follow that particular price structure for the clans. I don't think they will.
It is pronounced Daishi. Just
Daishi. Daishi.
Way to
Pronounced
go.
direwolf.
The fucking direwolf.
Vasaga?
Yeah, I want to point out that the way they have the MC balanced for everything is very weird, because you have a separate MC cost for standard things, and all the hero mechs and everything important has based around the tonnage. So you might be paying weird sums of MC for your clan mechs. Gonna confuse people. Yes, the CBill cost is ginormous. You have to pay 30 plus million for the clan assault mechs, and even some, get used to it.
One thing on the new user experience I've noticed, he says, an upcoming tutorial is about to hit our testing builds. Apparently, their new user experience, the only issues they have is the tutorial. And as we know, that is the movement tutorial only, unless they have added to it. So moving on to the next question, we have a question from Druidica. When do you plan to allow your players to create group sizes other than 2 to 4 and 12? And he answers that question later. We'll get back to that. Just like PGI, they set it aside and they'll come back to it later. So the next question we have is a question from Mikiro. What will happen to Command Console component and Advanced Zoom module on the launch date? Will they stay as they are right now? And he goes and explains what they do and, you know, how they don't really do anything. Well, I'm wrong. The Advanced Zoom module does do something. It gives you pixelated image of, like, just, it's awful. It's like CGI level graphics from back in 1980. David's answer is the exact nature of how the Command Console will work keeps changing and evolving, much like PGI's opinion and stance. He didn't say that. That was my interpretation. It's possible but unlikely that will be updated before launch. Hopefully we can get it in not too long after, but it's currently not scheduled. Regarding Advanced Zoom, this has admittedly gotten left by the wayside. It's still too expensive to properly render picture-in-picture zoom like that, but we'll probably take another look at that module and find some ways to make it more viable. As far as the Advanced Zoom goes, I don't understand why they just don't give you a higher optical zoom. And as far as the Command Console goes, just make it to where you need that particular piece of equipment to take over the command slots. But that's just my opinion. As far as, what do you guys think?
Just so you know, it's like these people read our notes or listen to our podcasts, specifically also about the Command Console and the Zoom. I know I've talked to Garth and Buck, and I've told them, you know, on the Advanced Zoom, don't do the re-render, just make it like a spotter scope, like a targeting computer on your Gundam or in your X-Wing. It pops down, you get no peripheral vision, you get 4x zoom, and your battle grid disappears, so you can't use your seismic at the same time, but you get the zoom out of it.
Connor, you had something to say?
All right, part of the issue they're having with Pip is the fact that with CryEngine 3, it's a lot harder for them to do Pip because before it's just copy and paste the general information whenever you use Pip, but with the new system, the game basically attempts to full-on re-render what you're seeing, as well as adjusting it. It adjusts lighting in real time, lighting and color in real time, and it attempts to do that twice, so it adds even more build-up on your system already. What they need to do, and this is basically how graphics work, this is how it always works wherever you are, is find a workaround. John Carmack came up with side-scrolling by only rendering what was on the screen, instead of rendering the entire frickin' map. There is always a workaround when it comes with graphics. There is always an option. It's smoke and mirrors. That's how graphics work. But the fact that they still haven't come up with an idea, I even came up with one. Just make it a low poly render, but with like the nanovision from Crysis. It would be so much better. Anything. Even have a little, like a camera or helmet thing come down from the top of the mech, and you just put your head into it, and then the screen comes up. Yeah, something. But
well, your biggest problem with that, Connor, if you look at it, they just introduced 12-mans. They're at the limit of their budget for processing. If they step even a foot beyond that, it's just going to tumble down, and we're going to go back to, slideshow frame rates.
Well, it's been so bad, I've been seeing people try to use it again. They've got Stockholm, and they're trying to use it again, and it's just... I even thought to myself, back during PPC Wars, I thought, maybe we could take a look at Pip again. Maybe it's not so bad. And then eventually I saw another player have it, and I went, oh yeah, now I remember why I stayed far away from it.
The last time I had it was at the very end of closed beta when they introduced it, and then I decided I'll never have it again unless it changes.
Yeah.
And it has not changed since.
No, it has not.
They forgot about it.
As far as command console, what do you guys suggest they do with it?
Map control, maybe? If you want to be a commander, make it a piece of equipment.
Laser?
I know we're going to talk about the developer blog notes a little later, but you need the command console in order to call out artillery and other things. And instead of consuming CBills, well, you can still do that, but you have to have the console in order to do that. And other things like orbital scans or UAV flyovers, not just a little drone you pop up and it looks about like 200 to 300 meters around you.
Vasaga?
Yeah, at this stage I would just give it extra module slots. Just do it. Just get it fucking out the door. Get it done. Who gives a fuck anymore? They were gonna do some tech shit with it, but it's been a year. Who cares? I just want the game to be feature complete already. Give us extra modules and call it a day.
All right. Now moving on, we have a new question from BP Raven. Right now he talks about the Awesome. Basically he's saying that the Awesome is arguably the worst assault mech chassis in the game, and I think we all agree with that.
Oh yeah, I just ran it on it.
He states that it posted the worst scores on the Assault versus the World tournament, and he gives all sorts of ideas about, love and care for this particular, for what we call the mattress. And David's answer is, the Awesome is a mech that we need to take a look at. Recently, we started a new pass looking at improving the balance between the mechs. Look for improvements to medium mechs coming in the August 20th patch. As we do this, we'll be sure to take a look at the Awesome. This will involve, first of all, making sure that there's nothing weird or buggy about the hitboxes, and then seeing what we can do to improve the mech. Exactly what the form those improvements come in will remain to be seen. As far as I'm concerned, the biggest problem with the Awesome is the fact that it's so wide. It's so easy to core out. That is my biggest issue with that particular mech.
Not to mention the cockpit is in the center torso.
Yeah, the head is still fairly easy to hit if the mech's not moving like sideways or anything. Vasaga?
Big wide thighs, big legs, big arms that don't cover anything, big center torso. And it used to have the biggest head hitbox, and then they fixed that.
No, it didn't have a big head hitbox. You
It's
had
in the
to
center of
actively
mass.
avoid the hitbox to not hit it. I'm not kidding. You remember.
Yeah.
I do.
I remember when it came out and I jumped into it and I was like, oh man, this mech is so new and shiny. It's a piece of shit.
Well, back when we could put the 400 XL in it, it was a beast. Especially the 8R with the powerful SRMs back in the day.
It had some use.
It's just too slow now. Alright, moving on. We have a question from Solaris Obscuri. What do you consider the 2 PPC Gauss High Alpha build, which nearly everyone has been using for the last 3 months, a lesser balance problem than firing 3 large lasers or 4 SRM4s at the same time? Paul's answer is the assumption that we think the 2 PPC Gauss is a lesser problem than any of the other high alpha builds is incorrect. We have looked at what we can do with the build in question. They have come with a plan to desync the firing times of the PPC and Gauss, and keeping the Gauss as a primary long-range weapon. More information on this will be made available as soon as we get the feature ready to test. Anybody have anything to say about what we pretty much the biggest issue balance-wise in the game? Vasago.
I sense more ghost features, and I don't like it, sir.
Well, delinking them by firing times, projectile speeds, I think those are pretty valid ways to do it.
Like I said in the Ask the Generals, or possibly another weapons balance thread on the forums, I remember watching someone in Kong streaming MechWarrior 4 Mercs, and they would fire a Gauss, and it would take like 6 to 8 seconds to recycle. And I was like, wow. This is back when the Gauss Cat was supreme, ages ago. And I said, wow, maybe PGI should increase the cycle time on the Gauss so that it's a sniping weapon, and if you have the time to set up the shot and time to recycle before you actually get another shot off, that it'll balance it since the DPS is a heck of a lot lower, but the range is extreme on it.
Well, one thing about the Gauss, as far as lore-wise goes, it has a long charge-up time. It's usually the last firing in a firing chain, as far as power goes, because it takes up so much power. But Valkyrie, you had something to say?
Yeah, I was going to say the same shit I've been saying for the past 4 or 5 months. Fucking hardpoint system, for Christ's sake. Just do it already, Christ.
We can't use that word, remember?
No, Connor. Oh, I'm sorry, Val.
I don't give a... I legitimately don't give a fuck anymore. I'm gonna beat the hardpoint system horse until it's already buried. The other thing that they could do is again
Connor already dug it up.
They can desync the shoot times, but I think changing the projectile speed is also going to be a big help too. Because PPC should be a medium range weapon, whereas the Gauss needs to be a high precision, extreme range weapon like it is in tabletop. And then, like you said, changing it that way, it's the last weapon that if you would fire everything off, it's the last weapon to actually recharge would also be a good thing. People have to remember that in tabletop, everything happens in 10-second increments. So by the time you're into the next phase and you're ready to shoot again, you've had a full 10 seconds for all your weapons to recharge. It doesn't actually tell you which weapon to recharge first.
You are right though, Val. In Mech Commander Gold, for God's sakes, they list PPC as a medium-range weapon.
It's listed that way in tabletop as well,
yeah,
I believe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The ERPPC is the long-range variant.
Not that I'm proposing they go full tabletop or anything, but one thing they ignored from the tabletop is the Gauss rifle actually has a minimum range to fire at. That could be possibly used as well, because they just randomly ignore tabletop and then
it is
extremely
short, like an extremely short minimum range, though. So I don't know if it would really make a huge difference.
Maybe a 50 meter.
You would have to be humping their face for the Gauss rifle to be within minimum range.
Just an idea. I don't know.
They could do the 90. It wouldn't be too bad.
90 would be fine. It would make it less of a I can use this weapon all the time weapon.
Right. It'd also mean that lights wouldn't get picked off so easily when they're just strafing by.
Well, they could also do it the same way that the PPCs do it, where it's a damage decrease if you're within that minimum range, and it kind of drops down that way. I mean, you could probably make up some sort of lore explanation to it, something along the lines of it gains velocity because of the way it's fired or something. I don't know. Even though technically it should have maximum velocity when it leaves the muzzle, it is a fictional weapon, so you can kind of play with it a little bit.
Connor, go ahead.
Apollo brought up a pretty good point. He said convergence. I just want to bring this up for just a sec. Convergence was something we talked about a long time ago, back before it became a thing with the community. What we pretty much got to is if we add convergence into this game, we're adding a lot of speed bumps for no reason into what a player has to do, as well as we might as well just add dice rolls, because you're taking control of the game away from the player in that scenario. I guess it could in some ways, but convergence just sits in my mouth. It doesn't taste right.
Well, back in the day, in early closed beta, we actually did have convergence. A lot of people probably don't know that, but we did have it at one point. It went away magically without any fanfare, and we have no idea what happened to it.
I was in an Atlas, so I have no fucking clue.
Well,
you were lucky.
The best way you could tell was back in the caves on Forest Colony. If you would aim through the moss that hung down, your shot would not line up with where you were shooting in the distance. And so it would only use the front texture of the moss hanging down as your convergence point. It was like an auto-adjusting, but I think it happened really fast. Now it's instant. Alright, next question. They have a question from Levi. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Have you considered implementing a system of graduated heat penalties to the heat scale? Basically, he goes on, much like in tabletop, there's heat penalties as you go up. From I think it starts about 30%, and then so many percentile up the chart, you get either you slow down, you can't move as fast, you have a smaller chance of your ammo explosion, and some other things. And he suggests that, which, I agree as well, because I think heat is just taken way too much advantage of. David answers, though, this is another thing that I would like to see make its way into the game. Unfortunately, there are some synchronization issues that would need to be sorted out first. This isn't possible, but it would be a significant undertaking. Hopefully we can find some time not too long after launch, but that's going to depend on fitting it in around all the work that has to be done on all other aspects of the game. Looking at their timetable, I would say sometime after launch, if ever. Laser, you had something to say?
Just to touch upon this, a lot of this, when they mentioned the synchronization issues, I honestly believe is going to be part of the HUD and the netcode consuming an excessive amount of resources to keep 24 mechs in sync and scale form and all the network calls in order to implement such a system like that where it would have graduated heat penalties. I mean, personally, I would love it, but it sounds like it would just obliterate their network stack and, FPS would drop, etc.
All right. The next question is asking about a replay mode, like a battle ROM where players can review the last battle, like a replay feature. Brian W. and Carl both say that the replay system is one of those features that has long been on their list of things to do. Blah, blah, blah. Too many things to do. Maybe after launch.
Everything is after launch, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Remember when everything was getting pushed back to launch?
Yes.
Remember
now
when
it's
everything
after
was
launch?
Everything was the Jesus patch.
Well, Okay, another question is, have you considered a time frame for which bases cannot be capped? This question doesn't really need to be answered because they have increased the capping times since this ATD came out, and I'm okay with them. I'm happy with them. I think they work out.
Main problem is all the fucking light mechs running around, and the shit maps, as Vass says.
And the last question is accommodating the 5+ player group drops. And Paul says, yes, it's still in the works. It's required for their tonnage limit system to be implemented, but they've told us that it's actually in the game. So I don't know if they're lying or maybe they need to re-implement it. So we don't have to do crazy stuff in the matchmaking system to get the groups assembled. The tonnage limit system will put mech balance in the hands of the player, and the matchmaker then only has to worry about ELO and team player counts. With the system in place, players will be able to launch in groups of 1 to 12 inclusively. I cannot give a time estimate on this. My guess would be shortly after launch. Now, this is a really important question. It's almost like they're abandoning the ELO system and going to much more of a tonnage limit system as a higher priority. Vasago, you had something to say?
It was our position at the time. My
Connor?
comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Laser says we need to mention the 2 maps that they've got coming, Island
Those look
City
interesting, yes.
and Moonbase. I'm actually kind of excited for Moonbase.
Island City is the one that I'm excited about.
Is it a brawling? They say it's going to be brawling, but I think it's just going to be River City, but with, buildings everywhere.
More islands.
Yeah, it's like islands here and there you have to hide behind as you're trying to push up river.
I guess the developer blogs are going to be next. We're finally going to finish them off.
Yep.
Woohoo. Big one.
Sorry, I was waiting for Connor.
Sorry, I thought you had something else to...
A mistake.
No, that was the... You kind of went over that last part. So.
I was the last one? Alright.
It's all good.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Alright, we're going to set up back with the Dev Diaries, the Dev Blogs. And the first one is the Role Warfare blog, the Dev Blog 3. And in it, they talk about the different roles, the 4 different basic types of gameplay roles that need to be put into the game. The 4 that they mention are scouting, defense, assault, and command.
Oh, yeah, you can see the skill trees.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're not actually trees, but I'll go into that. The scouting one is obviously a useful one and one they're pushing forward for. They keep putting out little things and they talk about how they want to reward people. That's a good thing. We want different roles. The next role they have is defense. And the defender holds the ground gained by the offensive forces and protects those in need. I'm guessing that's like assaults and heavies. And then, they do have an assault role for tactical forward units whose primary role is to seek and destroy. And then finally, they have the command unit. Now, we know for a fact that the command unit is gone. The command role is gone. They switched it with something they called support. And I'm guessing that's for, LRM boats and people using artillery and airstrikes and such. Next, they start talking about role aggregation. And role aggregation is basically how it combines everything together with the skill trees. Trees, I use that word loosely, because they don't really have trees on here. They're more like just straight lines. They do talk about the different roles playing out on the battlefield. They talk about how scouts will work and suggested pilot skills, because they do have a skill list for each. They originally had a skill list for each role attached. And as far as that goes, they suggest light mediums for scouts, and they wanted radar and detection enhancements for the modules, and then suggested pilot skills were scout class skills. I mean, that's fairly obvious. The defense assault roles is suggested medium, heavy, and assault mechs. Suggested modules are assistance, defense assistance, and detection enhancements for assault. Assistance and targeting enhancements, like target info and target decay and things along those lines. Suggested pilot skills, it wanted the defense, assistance of friendly units, and detection protection skills. It's a lot of BS because they've changed their skill system around significantly, so a lot of this doesn't really... I think they have more of a combined role of support, they have scout, and then this assault defense roles all together as one mech. They talk about the command role, but it doesn't really exist on this paper, so it's kind of pointless to go over. So the next developer blog is more Role Warfare Continued, and they talk about experience points to earn them. They do state that the experience points were going to be used to unlock skills and other efficiencies. The examples of the XP actions they had were destroying an enemy unit, detecting an enemy unit, assisting a friendly unit, and disabling an enemy unit, and accomplishing a command order. Now we have most of those in. We do. We don't have the disabling. I don't know what they mean by disabling because there's nothing like that in this particular game. But they do plan once the new battle grid stuff was supposed to come out, that you were going to be able to give orders and follow them, but we don't have that yet. Hopefully it's planned for the future. They do show the efficiencies, and Connor mentioned that they're trees, but if you look carefully, they're not actually trees. It's pretty much a straight line, and that is what they adopted. I don't really like the efficiency system. I think it's relatively pointless because everybody has the same ones. There's no differentiation, and it is pretty much you either have them or you don't. And systems like that are pointless and boring. They talk about the cost of modules and how you need your efficiencies can give you more module slots and such. And they do talk about some scout role skills, and some of them are actually in the files, as we've data mined before.
A lot of them are.
Yeah, a lot of them are still
For those
there.
who are interested.
There's some interesting ones here, like radar range increase, ghost signature, vision mode, zoom vision, HUD detail. They allow you to look at different levels of enemy damage level, probably more detailed, like seeing exactly what's broken or maybe how much ammo they have or something, as well as looking at the enemy components. Apparently they allowed the enemy components to be disabled or damaged, but that's not in the game. They also had a null signature system, which would allow the pilot to appear shut down for 5 seconds. That's pretty cool. I hope that does make it into the game. Multi-targeting allows the pilot to target multiple enemies up to 4 at a time. That would be really cool for scouts. That's pretty amazing. IDF accuracy, it narrows the AoE of IDF fire. I'm not sure what they mean by IDF. Does anybody here know
Indirect
what they're
fire.
using? Oh, yes. So it would tighten up missiles, probably artillery strikes and things of that nature. Thank you, Laser.
Probably a relic from back when you could indirect fire missiles and they would do something. Now you really...
I'm thinking it would
You
be
can
more for the command role, for the artillery strikes, things of that nature.
Maybe.
Go ahead, Laser.
Yeah, when you talk about the indirect fire accuracy, I remember I was playing joint operations ages ago, and you had mortars. And if a friendly had a little spotting scope, you could point on the map and spot the target you wanted to hit, and it would decrease the circular probability of error on the mortar strike, and it would just it would go from this wide circle at 500 meters to a tiny little man-sized, vehicle-sized hit circle.
Well, actually, Apollo Jangles actually brings up a good point. He says that we would need a mod for using CBill MC modules. It didn't actually. They didn't have that until later, or maybe they planned it, but it's not in the dev blog anywhere. They never mentioned anything about that.
And changed.
Go ahead, Laser.
Okay, I know what we've mentioned sounds like modules, but the funny thing is these are actually skills, because you forgot to mention one thing. When you complete your skills, which look like a tree but are the bush, you just complete the tiers. You fill out your basics, you have to get the variants to fill out the elites, and then you have to get the variants to fill out the master slot. Every time you fill out, let's say you got all your basics, you would get a pilot point, and you would spend these pilot points to get pilot skills instead of unlocking modules. So these I know we use GXP right now, but there doesn't appear to be any mention of GXP in this area. You complete your basics, get 1 pilot point. Complete your elites, get 2 pilot points. Complete master slot, you get 3 pilot points. Further down on this developer blog number 4, you can see actual scout, attack, defense, and commander trees that you could go sort of travel through and get spend pilot points to not unlock modules, but to actually unlock specific mech or pilot features that you would want. Like if you were attack defense and you complete the basics, so first mech out, complete all your basics, you probably want to unlock night vision, and then you next mech you get your basics on, you unlock thermal vision. This would be a system of unlocks that I remember when I first started playing the game, I was surprised that I didn't have to unlock night vision or thermal vision. It was just simply available to me, because I thought, given the experience I had when I first started playing MechWarrior Online, I was like, oh, here's the developer blogs, this is what the game is going to be like, and wait, why the heck do I have these features already unlocked? What's going on here? But I know the features you've been mentioning sound like modules, but they're actually the skills for scout role, attack and defense skills, and commander skills, and you're just going down the list here. That's all.
Well, actually, the skills were modules. They didn't change that. They intended more modules to be used, or more skills to be used, if you read through it. It does talk about the assault defense skills, and we'll go into a little bit of that. Charging. A special attack that allows the pilot to drive their battle mech into an enemy battle mech without sustaining too much damage. Now, we know for a fact that Paul has told us that charging, once it's back in the game, we will have knockdowns, and that's probably the only way we're going to have them. There's also some listed vision modes on here as well. Night vision, thermal, magnometer. It allows the pilot to see metal through solid objects. As far as those vision modes go, they were originally intended to be modules or skills, whatever you want to call it. You know, they just they started with them, and I think they got behind on their module system, and they just said, well, everybody's used to them, we're not going to change the game. We also have DFA damage reduction. This is a very, very ambitious one. Reduces the amount of damage caused by performing a death from above attack. For those of you who don't know tabletop, that's when you jump on top of another mech, either from like a building or using jump jets.
And it takes damage.
Yeah, we all drool about that one.
It's
Next,
the Highlander Burial.
yes, where we want that, but who knows? Power up, power down, speed increase. I think we have that in the game, don't we? No,
Yes.
that's an efficiency. That's
It's just a skill. Just a skill you unlock for everything.
Yeah. Here's one Laser likes: AMS range increase.
A lot. I like it a lot.
Laser's our resident AMS proponent, and he argues with anybody who does not use it. And it's quite powerful right now because lasers are useful. It can block SRMs.
AMS is useful.
Yes, AMS is useful. It can block SRMs. It can pretty much shut down streaks if you have 2. Further on, we have Cognizance. Automatically lets the pilot know of any nearby friendly battle mech taking fire. That'd be kind of annoying unless it was like a blip on the screen or something. Just constantly bitching Betty going, friendly battle mech taking fire.
Technically, they added that. They added the little missile attack icon that pops. Yeah, it's from months ago. Back when Betty used to say mech targeted. That was also when they added your friendlies would have a little missile, incoming missile, or enemy targets would have the little incoming missile, the 3 little missiles that pop up on their square.
Well, this one would let you know of any friendly battle mech taking fire, not just missiles or whatever. But go ahead, Valk.
I was going to say the other thing they could do is it's a very simple solution, really. and of course, being a simple solution, it's been done before. Bungie had a really, really smart way to tell when your friendlies were under fire in Halo 2 and any Halo game after that. All that would happen is you would see their indicator instead of being, the standard color that it was in their game. In MechWarrior Online, it would basically change color. So in MechWarrior Online, you would have it go from red to say yellow or something like that, and that would indicate a friendly battle mech taking damage. I think that would be a perfect way to show that somebody's taking hits from lasers or machine guns or other ballistics, as opposed to just going, oh, I see missiles going at that guy, which are pretty obvious if you just look in the damn sky.
Yeah, but PGI. Okay, the final skill they had was the critical shot receiver. And this allows the pilot to receive the critical shot information from nearby scout mechs. That sounds interesting, but in practice it probably wouldn't really do much. They'd have to change it around too much. Next, we have the commander skills. Now, as we know, these are switched to the support skills. Some of these are really cool. One of the skills they wanted was Order View, and it allows the pilot to right-click and request friendly battle mechs to attack or defend area objectives on the battle grid. So, kind of like RTS Lite, or like the old MechWarrior games. We have the Command View, which provides a layer of information over the battle grid, including objectives and any intelligence information passed back by scout mechs on the front line. This would be really cool. The only problem is we have no objectives other than standing in a red square.
Oil rigs.
I could see that times 5. Go get the Gundanium, right?
Oh.
Germanium is the right. Germanium.
Yes.
Archon's daughter.
Got to get that Germanium, right?
Connor, what do you think this oil rig is for? Oh, it's germanium. What the hell is germanium? It's this stuff in BattleTech.
It's used for something. They make reactors out of it.
Yeah, it's for the jump drive reactors, but it's not like a used up resource. It's it's used to make the reactors, not to power them. They don't have space oil.
Yeah, it's not like you're mining actual
Connor,
Gundanium.
what's this giant building on River City? Oh, that's the Comstar building.
I thought the red square was just a periphery boxing ring.
In this corner, weighing 100 tons Atlas! And everyone cheers.
All right. Next, we have the Call Airstrike, which, as you know, they made a module that charges you money now. And, it calls an airstrike, does AoE in a straight line, which is what it does. Artillery, same thing. Naval bombardment, that's really ambitious considering there's what are they going to do, have ships on caustic? There's not that much water. Calls in naval artillery bombardment that has larger and more powerful result than regular artillery. I would like to see naval bombardment on Mordor or Terra Firma. That would be amazing. Next we have Call UAV, which we have, and it works, except it doesn't do exactly like it says here, but I think it's balanced well, and it's useful.
It works.
Call Predator Drone. Drops a heavy explosive device on a targeted area. That sounds cool.
Target strike.
That sounds pretty cool. Call Satellite Sweep. Full detail information is passed to the command pilot, including enemy location, direction, speed. That sounds really powerful.
That would help against backcapping.
But that would almost invalidate lights if you already knew where they are. I mean, that's their whole job.
It'd have to be like a 10-second one-use thing.
Yeah. It would be like once a map or something. And then Danger Close, a short-range radar detection system that lets the command pilot know of any nearby enemy battle mechs. That's not what that means.
Sensor.
Yeah, I was about to say, seismic sensor.
Yep, there you go.
Wall hacks.
And that is developer blog number 4. And now we have number 5. Laser, did you have anything to add to that last one?
No, that's perfectly fine, and we should be able to go through number 5 pretty quickly too, since it's what we experience every day playing the game.
Yes.
I had something to say about DevBlog 4, namely about the commander sweep. Is I think it could be a very useful thing to have, like Connor said, it has to be a very limited time sort of thing, or even maybe just a snapshot. Where, say the satellite passes over fast enough where you get like maybe 1 second of actual information to actually kind of analyze it, or it just snapshots it, so you just see the heading, range, direction, all that stuff, but it's static. It doesn't show them in motion. So, for example, you have to pick and choose your moment to use it. So if you use it right at the beginning of the game, all you're going to see is a bunch of dudes clustered up in front of their oil rig. That's it. If you use it during the middle of the game, you have to pull it up and look at it, but that means your mech's out of the fight, and you kind of have to quickly analyze what's going on. And even then, those light mechs that are going all the way around to go cap your base, they could change direction, and by the time you have guys intercept them, they could be in a completely different grid. That would be the best way to apply it, I think.
Yeah, just on a limited basis would be the best. Well,
Yeah,
they would limit it by once a match.
Yeah, just use once a match use, because then you have to determine when is the best time to use it. And
See,
even then,
these are getting me excited, all these skills. I want to play this game. Where's this game at, guys? Anybody know?
Your position has changed.
Long ago.
Maybe it's on launch.
Yeah, maybe. The Jesus
Laser?
patch?
Yeah, they've mentioned for the artillery, like right now it's you stare and you click and it drops, that they would eventually become a battle grid module, and a lot of the command roles and the command skills and the command modules that they mentioned here in Developer Blog 4 rely extremely heavily taking you out of the game into battle grid, which right now doesn't really do anything.
Well, you can put those little lines on everybody's map, or those little symbols on everybody's map. I mean,
You can't even draw on it. Come on.
You just
I
want to
think
draw
it's-
penises on it. That's all. That's what
I think it's just
everybody
a case
ever
of
wants to do.
PGI. I think they just want people to forget that they put all this stuff in here. It was to get us excited and get our money, and they're just not ever going to implement it and to hope people forget about it.
All right, moving on. Let's go to the Devblog 5. Now, there's not much on here that we really need to go over, honestly, because it's all about how the mechs act and operate, and this was for, before they actually had something that existed, and they wanted to explain what all of it did. Now, I will go over a few things that I want to point out. They do talk about weapon systems, and one of the things they mention, it should be kept in mind that energy weapons generate the most heat in comparison to ballistic and projectile weapons. We know that's not necessarily true. I just wanted to point that out, that that's not really conducive with their design. Number 2, we have controls. In addition to this, we have found that players differ in their preference in terms of which direction a battle mech turns while reversing. This tool will be added to the options screen as a selectable choice. As far as I know, the reversing mech, alternating it, has not been added to the option screen, or am I wrong? By that I mean, when you're backing up, do you pick left or right? And, reversing your backup direction. I don't think they added that back in, like they said they were.
Quite.
Well, no, I mean, it makes sense. If you're backing up and you turn left, you should back up to the right.
Yes.
I mean, that's how
That's
real life
not
works.
how it works.
Right.
Lots of people back up Darjeeling. Well,
It's not a steering wheel.
Cowards back up, B.
all right.
Movie sucks.
Next, we have movement hindrance. So they did have this planned out, guys. And this is what they said about it. A battle mech is not impervious to obstacles or gravity/physics. This means that battle mechs are susceptible to environmental effects that will decrease their performance levels. Now, environmental effects, I guess it's talking about the Mountain Dew on Terra Firma, because I don't know of any other environmental effect that slows you down or affects you.
Water.
Pebbles.
Pebbles,
Maybe.
water,
Pebbles.
ice, forests, certain
Hills?
types of hills, sand,
Forest. What are you
non-roaded
talking about?
areas.
Yeah, but none of these actually affect you in game.
Oh yeah, I know.
Well,
Other
If they
than
do,
pebbles.
it's a bug.
Other than pebbles. Pebbles are fucking vicious.
Pebbles and cars, man.
Pebbles are OP, man.
Or those buildings in Terra Firma. Those are like the bane. One of the drop points for the spawn is right next to the buildings, and a lot of people get caught on those.
Yeah, and once you do, you can't cross bridges.
Alright, and for example, a battle mech walking uphill will not be able to maintain their top speed due to the extra power required to climb the hill. That's fine. Walking through water will slow a battle mech down, but at the same time it will cool the battle mech a little faster than normal. Now, we only know that actually works on the legs of the mech, or the parts that are covered, so only lights, and there's only like one area of deep water on Forest Colony. Maybe the island area will have deeper water. Let's hope. Trees and other large obstacles can stop a battle mech dead in its tracks.
Where have we ever
Yeah.
encountered those?
Huh?
About that.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I don't get it.
I'm talking about some fantasy game that doesn't exist.
Shot blocking lampposts.
Battle mechs will take damage if they fall from too high up. The amount of damage sustained will increase with the fall height. Well, that was a problem for a long time. Fortunately, they fixed that.
Light mechs.
The last part I wanted to go over was this particular heading. Cockpit monitors. In addition to what's displayed on the actual HUD, the monitors in the cockpit will also display information about the mech. While some of the monitors may be in the pilot's normal field of view, they can all be seen by free looking around the cockpit. The information displayed on them is generally of a secondary or tertiary nature, like the status of the mech's actuators or heat sinks, or more detailed information about the distribution of ammunition within the mech. Go ahead, Connor.
No, Vass is first.
Well, he already kind of covered it about the old leg damage. Say you were in a Raven and you were running over uneven ground, you'd lose half your leg armor.
I know we've always loved to rail on PGI for no signal on all those damn monitors, but here on the developer blog 5, I was like, oh great, they mentioned the HUD, and they mentioned the monitors, and like, monitors only display secondary and tertiary information about your heat sinks, actuators, ammunition, and 0 mission kills, of course. So the scale form interface that sort of floats was supposed to be the primary interface always, and the monitors in your cockpit are fluff. And I know they used to work, and they used to work really well, and that technology has become lost tech, but it was always originally supposed to be just
lost
secondary.
Tech monitors.
Yeah.
My LCD is Lost Tech.
Actually, Laser, you should post the link to the video with the monitors. We'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, and the laser ammunition.
Yes, the laser ammunition. As far as all that goes, the last thing I wanted to go over was the wrap up. And this is PGI talking about the end of their blog. I believe it was devblog 5, because there's really nothing in 5 or 6 as far as I can remember.
No, there is something in 6. 6 is the mech lab.
Oh, okay. Well,
5 is movement and controls, which is just WASD and the mouse.
I didn't really see the point of going over the mech lab because everything has changed from their original concept, and
actually,
it was early design.
The only thing that I've seen that has changed in the mech lab is that there isn't an equipment hardpoint for like a tag, because they said there's an equipment hardpoint for BAP, AMS, ECM, and tag, and the only thing we currently just put a tag on energy hardpoint, and now we have the AMS hardpoint after the Atlas K and closed beta stuff that I never encountered, and then after that we have the ECM hardpoint, which is the left torso and a bunch of mechs, but there still isn't an equipment hardpoint for a tag. You have to use that energy hardpoint. And then they discuss weapon hardpoints, critical slots, stuff that we use in the mech lab, and they explain how the mech lab works, where you drag in a 2 critical slot thing can fit here, and a 3 critical slot thing can't fit here, but you can fit 2 1-slot medium lasers into a single slot. That's really all that DevBlog 6 covers.
That's actually that's their normal system, so they didn't really change from that.
The DevBlog 6, they even talk about visualizations and customizations, decals for you guys, changing colors, skins like they would have had in MechWarrior 4. Sorry, I apologize, MechWarrior 3. The Wasp skin is still my favorite from that game. And if you didn't feel like doing primary, secondary, and tertiary colors, you could just, use CBills, or they say you can get skins from the metagame, or by going to the store and purchasing them, and instead of picking a primary, secondary, and tertiary colors, you just skin it up, throw your decals on, and then, your mech's ready to go. It looks pretty.
I just wanted to leave you all, as far as the Dev Diary segment, with the wrap-up they had, and this is typical PGI. This concludes our current discussion on MechLab. It is quite in-depth, but there's still more information to share, but that's going to have to come at a later date when we start talking about the store.
Yeah, the store.
What store? What
that
the fuck
tab that's been
about?
there since ever and means nothing.
There's a store tab?
Yeah.
Yes.
Val doesn't
There's a
even
store tab
there
and
are
a
2
faction
tabs.
tab.
Faction, yeah, and store. I remember when they started moving, because before they just sat there idly. Then you scroll over it and they moved, and then that was the end of it.
Next topic then, guys?
Response on MechWarrior income with Niko Snow. So their telemetry basically tells them that our rewards need to be adjusted, that we're earning too much money.
Are we
As
really?
As we move closer to the game's launch on September 17th, our developers will be addressing the community in an official post on our forums with a focus on CBill earnings and other reward systems. This also helps reduce the possibility of overshooting our adjustments and giving away too many rewards. In such a scenario, we should have to nerf those rewards permanently, and be left with much upset from any players who had grown accustomed to those greater reward levels. So basically, what they're saying is CBills were earning too much, and they've reduced it because we have better rewards coming. What will they do, and what are they? We have no frickin' clue.
Well, from the perspective of a medium mech pilot, I wasn't making much money to begin with.
Laser?
Just to clear up some things there, the reason they reduced the income was to gather telemetry for future rewards and adjustments. It wasn't because their telemetry was saying that we were earning too much. It was in order to prepare for launch and for additional rewards and adjustments that they wanted to see if you're making too little in 12-mans with their current system, that they were going to adjust it in the future, but you have to endure it for now. So premium is now less valuable, and just playing the game in general is a less valuable expenditure of your time.
But what I don't get is, nobody even has this new currency. So as far as I can tell, why even reduce the CBills in the first place? Okay, who did we have? Valkyrie?
That was pretty much what I was going to say, too. I saw somebody posted something. I don't remember their name. I apologize in advance for forgetting your name. But somebody on the forums mentioned basically the exact same thing. They said, so if we have better rewards coming in the future, why not say, hey, you've got better rewards coming in the future. CBill income is not going to stay this way, but when we do reduce it, it's going to come with some new perks that'll make up for it. And everyone would have been cool with that. We would have thought, okay, well, let's not set our expectations too high and say that, okay, we're going to have CBill earnings stay this high forever, but at the same time, let's look forward and give them a chance to see what they show us as, you know, that sort of making up for it thing that they're going to toss in as well. And that would have been totally cool. Everyone would have been fine. Nobody would be complaining. Nobody, people wouldn't be getting fucking Phoenix refunds right away because that premium time they're giving away is worth practically nothing now. It would have gone over a lot better. That would have been a decent PR move. But this is PGI, where decent PR is just not a thing. So we missed it out on it entirely, and instead people are just quitting the game wholesale.
Kalis?
This is more of a request to Kong. We need the aliens guy, a shop of him, and put telemetry instead.
If you can put Boris's head on him, that'd be great.
It used to be beta, but telemetry is their new word.
Telemetry.
Telemetry.
Scanners.
We already have the
Open
lag shield
beta.
in it.
Is it possible that MechWarriors were earning too much CBills?
Can
Paul
you say it
said
with a
so.
straight face?
It
can you?
is.
Hey man, in
Can't,
Space
no.
Africa, they don't even have CBills.
A luxury.
They have MC Shekels.
We're so
We're
entitled,
so
we don't even
entitled.
know it.
Space Africa, you mean the Draconis Combine?
Pretty much.
Fighting words.
Not quite. I thought, who was the other guys?
It's Drakfica? I don't know.
Who were the ones
Some
living
things are
next to them that
racist.
were Space Mexico?
I can't remember. I think no, the Marians are Rome.
It was like
if I
Outer
remember correctly.
Worlds or something.
Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on to Project Phoenix Loyalty Update. They've updated their Phoenix Loyalty page with colors, cockpit items, and this new flame pattern. And they have this bar that we have not seen go well. Haruko said she saw it go up, but I haven't seen anything on it yet. Bass, what can you tell about this thing? You were the first one to spot it.
Oh, I can tell you one thing. It's not like Star Citizen at all. That's all everybody needs to hear.
It really does kind of get me. They do have all this premium time on there. Now it's kind of worthless. Then you have to actually buy in a lot just to get the bigger mechs. Laser?
At least we now thankfully know what 3 variants, not 4, even though some of these level 1 introductory been in the TRO since the beginning mechs have 20 variants between 2500 and 3050. We're still only getting 3 variants of them. We actually know what they are. So dual AMS Locust 3M, come on. Yeah, I had to mention that. But the bar itself is there is no dollar
good.
counter. It is like a feel good bar. You just feel good that you're putting money and it fills up.
You press the button and you feel good.
Yeah, you look at
something.
it progress and you feel good.
Vass.
Yeah, they kind of sorted out lots of problems with the Phoenix. There's still stuff, but at least they told us what we're getting. Improvements. I'll give them credit for that. And the feel good bar. And yeah, it's not very great still, but you know what you're getting. Plus the feel good bar and the Inferno camo and flames. Flames on my mech, I can be 5 years old again with flames on my robots. Oh my god.
Okay, Valkyrie, you're choking over there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was drinking something and water went down the wrong pipe. I was going to say the feel good bar. This is actually a beta for community warfare, because that's all community warfare is going to be, filling a stupid bar that has absolutely no relevance on anything.
That was the
Hooray!
joke. That was the joke, was that it was just going to be a bar.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say about the flame pattern, I don't know if anybody remembers the MechWarrior Age of Destruction Phoenix unique mech. It looks so super cheesy and horribly it looks so lame. But I had this horrible feeling that all PGI is going to do is basically copy that color scheme and that paint pattern and stick it on whatever the hell, and it's going to look so stupid. That's just me being pessimistic, though. I'll link it in the show notes.
Weren't you linking it up earlier?
I did.
That's what I saw.
I linked it yesterday.
Yeah. The only thing I can say is, well, that confirms that we actually do get sort of a decent Locust. The dual AMS Locust. Look out, Streaks. Here I come. Darjeeling.
Oh, and we also get the colors now, too.
Oh, yeah, PC Gamer colors.
Good news for those of you who are fans of the Cincinnati Bengals, because you can deck your mech out in the exact same regalia now. And it even comes with fucking shoulder pads if you pay enough.
Cincinnati
We need
Bengals.
knockdowns for this!
Yeah, we can do it. John Madden's MechWarrior.
John Madden's MechWarrior. Go! $20 extra grab deal. Do it. Would
Laser.
pay.
I know we've mentioned this before, but all the Phoenix custom geometry with your custom extra large hitboxes, they do like football players.
We just need to put some roll cage bars around the cockpit and they'll be all set.
Well, I think the Shadowhawk does have a bar sitting in front of it.
Does.
At the end of every match, they dump a giant tub of coolant over the coach's head.
Oh, man.
Oh my god.
Okay, let's see, what do we got next? DD bar, the DD Game Zone. What the heck is that DD Game Zone?
No, the Kentaro hitbox adjustments.
Yeah, you have to.
Oh, no, it's the Phoenix
or
Hawk.
grab these.
The Jade Hawk Phoenix Hawk. Why is
It
this
looks
in here?
because that's basically my bet. I'm betting that's what the flame pattern is going to look like. It's either going to look like that, or it's going to look like something that you would see on the outside of a Hot Wheels box. Just fucking mark my words. I swear to God.
Okay, so the Kentaro is getting a hitbox adjustment.
Yeah, so now it's no longer the big fat gold. It'll be the slightly less big fat gold.
No, it'll
Limb
still be
gold.
just as fat. They're not reducing the scaling. They're just
It'll be
changing the
just as
hitbox.
fat, but now you have to rub Buddha's belly in a different spot.
Oh, God.
This will totally make a Kentaro viable now.
Laser?
No, I told you.
Vass.
Just get me.
Vass, alright. Vass.
Yeah, Kentaros. So, did anyone spot a single Kentaro dispatch cycle?
One.
I spotted 3.
I've spotted 2, and both belong to Kong. Not a single one outside those 2.
You mean the
Not
Golden
once.
Boy, not the regular
Yes.
CBill for
I
MC
mean
this
the
week.
Kentaro, period. I've only seen 2 Golden Boys, not any normal ones, in any shape or form.
Ian?
Some-
You actually going to speak on Kongcast for once?
I just want to say that I saw one Kentaro, normal variant. So yeah,
Is it too good?
no.
What a surprise.
Now all we need is to have Greg speak for once, because Ian did.
No.
Nobody wants him to.
No, he has.
I
Ian's
didn't
never-
see any because I've been playing better video games.
Oh, I know that
Yeah, me
feeling.
too.
Ooh, low blow, son.
Yeah, speaking of video games, so apparently
Oh,
PGI
God.
is issuing GameStop cards, which is kind of why they that I had the plug-in in the beginning.
Just put the picture up for
them.
Yeah,
put the link of the picture that...
you don't need to talk about it.
The photo that we're linking is something that I saw. I went to go to GameStop yesterday to basically switch my Armored Core 5 pre-order over from 360 to PS3 so I can play with Kong. And I saw this ad on their little card, their gift card spindle thing, whatever the hell it's called. I don't even remember what we called them when I worked there. But, oh my god, like, the advertising looks so stupid. Like, it's cringeworthy to look at. I haven't actually been this uncomfortable looking at something since the last episode of Watamote. It's like really that bad. I can't even like explain how horrible it was to look at.
It's a terribly Crayola. It's a terribly flash-drawn atlas with Johnny Test for the head.
No. It's a Tim Buckley face is what it is.
That's what it is.
It's a Buckley.
No, but here's the kicker on top of all of it is that these ultimate game cards that MechWarrior Online now accepts, they give you $20 worth of MC. And $20 worth of MC, I believe Vass, I think he calculated out as being about 4,500 MC. And that's practically nothing, really. That'll buy you maybe a wing on sale, tops,
maybe,
and maybe any of the hero mechs below that. And I feel really bad for anybody who sees that ad, buys an ultimate game card, and then it ends up buying a premium mech that ends up being one of the shittiest mechs in the game, and then they have no money for actual, important things to buy with MC, like, I don't know, paints, which is kind of important, I guess, because otherwise your mechs just look stupid. Mech base, that too. It's just, I can't even, I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's really awful. Oh, so next up, I did want to go ahead and let everybody know we got another announcement to make. We've done this before when we announced that we were going to have the MechTech guys on for a couple podcasts. I wanted to let everybody know that we've been discussing here at Concast the future of the podcast. Things with MechWarrior Online, frankly, do not seem particularly encouraging. And we have been looking at other games that we're planning to play together. One game of note that's actually been very popular both in our community and in the MWO community at large is Chris Roberts' Star Citizen. So we are going to be moving from a single game format here going forward. We're not going to be talking about MechWarrior Online exclusively, although we will continue to speak about it. We are going to start expanding our reach to talk about different games. I know people really enjoyed our Concast where we had folks on the cast from MechTech Studios talking about Heavy Gear Assault, and so we'll be talking about more games as time goes on. Starting with next week, we'll be having a Star Citizen. We'll be having a Star Citizen.
God Almighty, I'm free at last.
We'll be having a Star Citizen special next week to talk about the new Hangar module, which is going to be coming out very, very soon. So be sure to stick around, and we'll keep you up to date on that.
I had a dream once where little Kong boys and little Kong girls would go down and play actual Vidya, not be oppressed by Piggy and IGP.
Yep.
It's coming.
The dreams of old.
We're done. We've done it. We're moving on. It feels great. We're going to be able to play all sorts of different things now and not stuck to this.
Not yet, Connor. Not completely.
I know.
We will still continue to talk about MechWarrior Online extensively, I'm sure. But we will begin to speak about other things, too, such as Star Citizen, because that's going to be big.
Okay. How are we going to close it out?
So, Connor, when are you playing MechTech?
I don't know.
Mech.
I don't know.
Mega MechTech.
Mega.